When the McCallister family left on their Christmas vacation,
Did we miss the flight? No, you just made it.
Yeah!
they forgot one small thing.
Have yourself
I've a terrible feeling.
Christmas.
Did you lock up?
Yeah.
Yourself be light.
Do we set the timers on the lights?
Mm-hmm. What else could we be forgetting?
Our troubles will be ours.
Kevin!
Home Alone.
Police in the northern suburbs are on the lookout for a pair of burglars who are calling themselves the Wet Bandits.
We know that you're in there.
It's Santa Claus and it's Elf.
Get off my property.
This is my house. I have to defend it.
Where's your mother?
My mom's in the car.
Where's your father?
He's at work.
What about your brothers and sisters?
I'm an only child.
Where do you live?
Can't tell you that.
Why not?
Because you're a stranger.
He's a kid. I mean, what can a kid do to us?
Kids are stupid. I know I was.
You still are, Marv.
This is it.
I don't care if I have to get out on your runway and hitchhike. I am going to get home to my son.
Yes!
Where are you, you little creep?
I'm gonna kill that kid!
Why'd you take your shoes off?
Why are you dressed like a chicken?
Gus Polinski, Polka King of the Midwest. If you have to get to Chicago, we'll gladly drive you.
Hey, guys.
Yesterday, he was just a kid. But tonight, he's a home security system.
You guys give up or you're thirsty for more?
From John Hughes,
You know, I got a feeling this is going to be your best Christmas ever.
a family comedy without the family. Home Alone.
Are you here all alone?
I'm 8 years old. You think I'd be here alone? I don't think so.
Welcome to the VHS Club. We did it. It's past Christmas, but not really because it's this awkward in between week. So it's still Christmas, and we are talking about Home Alone today. I'm laughing because Doc is hanging out in the live studio audience. So shout out to Doc and all of the tater tots. Doc sent me the most amazing clip that we will talk about a little bit later in the episode. But he was noticing, and I noticed it too. I'll watch it. Did you catch this, Nat? The managers are in the manager is in the grocery scene where they're asking him all those questions. That's not in the actual final cut of the movie. That's definitely just in the trailer.
Yeah.
Good catch, Doc. I was like, wait a sec. I've never
not at all part of the movie.
Not at all
you sent me the clip and I'm like, that's not in the movie.
Like, no. Not that we've seen this a few times, but I've definitely seen this a few times.
Okay, so this movie is a John Hughes, which we stan, we adore, we are obsessed with John Hughes.
Yeah.
John Hughes movie,
Chris Columbus,
1990.
And if you remember, overlap fun fact, because Chris Columbus was supposed to be the director of Christmas Vacation, but hated Chevy Chase so much that he pulled out of that movie and ended up as the director of Home Alone. So here he is as the director of this one.
Say, in recent years, I'm like, why do they keep giving Chris Columbus budgets for movies? And I'm like, oh, because he did this movie, and this movie was good.
He did a lot of these ones. I don't have the full list in front of me.
He's done a lot of shit movies, but that's okay because
he did a lot of good ones.
I feel like there's some people like they do 2 good movies and then they just get all the money, and you should stop it at some point, Chris Columbus. He did the worst Harry P. I'm just saying.
He did
I'm gonna
2
throw it
Harry
out there.
Potter. I
They
don't
were
know.
terrible.
I liked his Harry Potter. He
Okay,
did the
no,
first 2.
no. The children did not have cloaks at Hogwarts. We're not
No,
gonna start now.
that was 3. They had cloaks in the 2 that he
That
did.
was
He did 1
Columbus.
and 2. No, he did 1 and 2.
I swear he did 3. Anyway, okay, we're not.
Paul,
we're not
fact
doing
check me.
Harry Potter.
We're not talking about Harry Potter, obviously.
We're not
'cause
talking
we have
about Chris
feelings.
Columbus. Skip. Okay, John Hughes is amazing. He's a brilliant writer. We love him. John Hughes, the reason Katie and I love him so much is that he has this ability to capture this coming of age and this childhood moment so well. So he does like kid and teen movies super well, and he had this ability that seems to be beyond anybody because nobody else has done it quite like him
It's so depressing.
since.
Yeah.
That he can capture that moment where a kid has to deal with something that's grown up but is still a kid.
Yep.
Or that teenage moment, not in this movie, but that teenage moment where they have to kind of grow up but are still a teenager. Like, he is so good at that, and we love that.
Yeah.
So John Hughes is amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. Just
Katie
in
wins first.
Katie wins. Just on
Darn it.
camera. Let's all say that out loud. Katie wins.
Katie wins. Okay, to be perfectly fair, I did not watch all the Harry P movies. They were
not
the books. They were not the books. And I read the books before the movies came out, so you know.
Yeah. And shout out to Travis, who feels the exact same way that I do. Travis says, this movie gets better and better the older I get. Yeah, I'm really sad that I don't think, maybe I did. I couldn't find a video clip of, so the first year I let my kids watch this movie was, probably about 5 or 6 years ago now. My son was pretty little. I want to say he was like 5 or 6. And his like crazy laughter throughout this movie was like everything, and I hear it still in my head even when we watch it now, and he doesn't laugh quite as much as he did when he was that. He still laughs. We still laugh our heads off. But it was like, that was almost better.
Every time Marv and Harry slip down the stairs for that first time, I laugh maniacally like I'm like 8 years old. Like, it's the best.
Yeah.
So
it's that maniacal laughter.
The premise of the movie is this family and their extended family is going on vacation for Christmas. They're going to go to Paris for Christmas vacation, and so there's the immediate family, which has several kids, the extended family, the cousins that have several kids. They all pack up in the car to go to the airport, and they miss one of the kids.
Yeah.
Like, when they do a head count, they missed one. There was like, the neighbor was around, they accidentally counted him as theirs. So they get to the airport, they get on the plane, they're now in Paris and realize, oh shit, we left Kevin at home. So Kevin wakes up, he's at home, and he's like, this is amazing. I don't have my obnoxious family always telling me what to do. Typical 8-year-old. Like, I get to have pizza and craft dinner, mac and cheese, like, and watch all the movies I'm not supposed to watch and do all the Christmas things I want to do and not be criticized by anybody. Yeah. Amazing.
Goals.
But there are some robbers in the neighborhood that are staking out who is leaving for Christmas
in this incredibly wealthy neighborhood. So
in this incredibly wealthy neighborhood, because let's just say, like, Kevin's father singularly pays for his entire family and extended family to go to Paris on his own. He pays for everyone.
He doesn't. So I looked up a lot. So Doc sent me like all of the information on the like who were these people that could afford this house. Yeah. And in that article, which I didn't so there's a few things I didn't catch for the first like probably 15 times I've seen this movie. So one, I didn't initially catch that so we know that Buzz is Kevin's older brother because he talks about that a lot. Like, for probably the first, I want to say 15 or 20 times I saw this movie, I just assumed that Buzz was his only sibling, but he has those 2 other siblings as well. He's got a sister and another brother. So for whatever reason, I didn't catch that. But the financial
other than
thing,
Macaulay Culkin's actual brother was
his cousin. Kieran Culkin is in this as his cousin.
Yes.
Yeah. But so the uncle who lives in France is the one that bought them all of the plane tickets. So because they do say that in the movie. Yeah.
The uncle that's
who also
in
has
the
like the
movie.
fancy pants, like view of the Eiffel Tower apartment that is large enough for like 13 people or however many people are staying with them.
That doesn't exist.
Yeah, it
That's
doesn't
not
exist.
reality.
Like, and
No.
he's also the one that has in Home Alone 2 the Manhattan like flat that they have under construction when Kevin is there in Home Alone 2. So like as rich as we think Kevin's family is, I'd like to know more about Kevin's uncle.
More about this mysterious uncle. Well, because the uncle
he's
this
in like a
movie
cartel
that we
of some
see,
kind. Yeah.
for
Yeah, the
sure.
cheap, not the cheap uncle.
So-
There's a cheap uncle.
Well, the cheap uncle, let's just say he's the true villain of the movie more so than Harry and Marv because he is freeloading. He's getting this whole free family vacation. He doesn't even pay for the pizza dinner that they have the night before they leave.
Yep.
He's like, oh no, it's like $100 for pizza. I'm like, it's practically $100 for pizza nowadays for one person. Like, and he won't pay for like
$98.
50 people to have pizza. Like, he's the true villain of the movie.
Yeah, I did love. I will post this in the sources after this episode officially airs, quote unquote. But there was this awesome article that Doc sent me earlier, and an accompanying video talking about like just the wealth. So let's talk a little bit about the ridiculousness of the wealth of this movie. So the house, the silver tuna, as Joe Pesci's character calls this house, which I never noticed until today that he says, but he calls it a silver tuna, which is incredible.
So because there was a point where I'm like, why are these robbers obsessed with this house? Like, what is wrong with their brains that they can't just let it go and go to the next house?
No. So this house,
silver tuna,
is a real life house in an Illinois suburb outside Chicago. And this house back in 2012, so fairly recently, sold for like $1.86 million. It apparently today is valued at over $2 million. So the New York Times did this like wonderful breakdown of how much money we assume this family, like, and we guess both parents were working, like not a big popular thing in the 90s.
No. But let's be honest. Mrs. McCallister, Moira Rose, as we now know her, is not wearing all these fucking power suits to be a housewife.
That's true. True.
Well, let's be honest. Like, I know we don't discuss it in the movie, but she has a job. She has a real good job because she is a 1990s mom.
Power suit mom.
Who is wearing all the power suits with those big bauble earrings. Like, that's fancy. That is super fancy. She is making money. She's making
bank. Well, they would have had to. So in order to have afforded this
two households,
this house, this is in today's money. I'll have to post the article. I can't remember what the 1990 equivalent would have been, but if we adjust for inflation and time difference, the house is valued at $2.2 million. And in order to afford that house with everything that comes with it, they would have had to be making almost just short of $700,000 a year. So just for a minute,
plus like 3 kids, education in America, so there's no health care. You have to pay for school. Like, there's no social programs. So it's like you have to pay for healthcare, you have to pay for school, you have to pay for dental, you have to pay for everything.
And they had 4 kids, not the 2 that I thought they had. So
what? 4 children? And like each kid in the 90s was valued at like $200,000 a year.
So
that's
these
2, 4, 6, 8. That's $800,000 a year. That's just shy of $1 million a year spent on your kids plus your house.
Plus your house, yeah. Okay, so they needed a salary of almost $700,000 a year just to afford the house. So you can imagine.
They needed over $1 million a year combined to afford their house and children.
And I didn't catch this, Nat. I wonder if you catch this. So you caught the power suits, and we all know that I'm the least observant human being known to man. So I caught the power suits, but apparently and I didn't catch this on the rewatch. I'll have to rewatch this week. But apparently there are mannequins throughout the house, like just in random positions.
Well, in the window they do the dance.
Right? They do the dance.
People are home.
Yeah. So that, I guess that suggested to a lot of people who have in-depth studied this that the mother, Catherine O'Hara, who plays the Kevin's mom, is actually a fashion designer. And then they assume that the dad was just in business. And I was like, the dad's in like the mafia and the mother is a fashion designer. I believe that. I'll buy that.
If you think about this, the actress Catherine O'Hara, national Canadian treasure. Okay, so she was in this. She was in Home Alone. She was in Beetlejuice. She was in
Best in Show. Is she in Best in Show? I think so.
Yes, Best in Show, and in Schitt's Creek. Okay, so it is likely she is either a famous fashion designer, fashion model, actress, baby. So yes, it makes sense. Like if all of these are somehow interconnected. Yeah, obviously she's the one bringing in the bacon.
Although, and this is the funny moment. So if you caught this, I'm sure everyone does, right? So there's a couple of other indicators other than the house, how wealthy this family is. One of them is that while she is in the airport trying to like negotiate with random people flying out, right? She offers up like all of her stuff, right? She's giving $500 cash, her jewelry, but then she says that her Rolex isn't a real Rolex, and you're like, why though? Your house is so big. Why is your Rolex not real? And that is
a Rolex.
And that's after she tries to charter a private jet from France to Chicago. She's like, aren't there any private jets? And the woman at the desk is like, oh, no, we couldn't possibly. And then she's like, I don't have a Rolex. It's not a real Rolex. You caught me.
It must. Okay, so let's give it up to her. The one part of this movie that I didn't enjoy was the very end of the movie where she hustles the whole movie. She, not immediately, but like once they're midair, she's like, oh my God, my son Kevin is missing. And she does everything humanly possible to get back to her child, okay? To make sure that he's safe. She has all of her family call every single friend or neighbor in Chicago in the greater area to go and check on this kid, which, by the way, nobody does. Like, nobody.
Well, no one's in town. There's no one in town. The police do go check on him. She finally gets hold of the police and they check, but he's too afraid to answer the door.
Yeah, but they don't really do a wellness check. They're just kind of like, knock, knock, nobody's home. I wonder why. It's like, okay, an 8-year-old is abandoned by himself. You should probably go in and check, but whatever. So they loosely check that he's home. So she has everybody solicited to go and check to see if her kid is okay, and nobody does. She barters, she trades, she bargains.
She flies from like city to city to city to city. Yeah.
She gets on her plane, her train, and her automobile. Super cute reference, by the way, to John Candy. With John Candy to get to her son. And then immediately within 32 seconds, she's home. She sees her kid and like her whole family's back. Well, if you just waited for the flight that was scheduled for the day after that we refused to take.
Yeah, you're right. That part was definitely
So you're basically saying like, oh, because you were impatient and completely female hysterical, like you could have been back at exactly the same time. Fuck you. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. This busted balls to get back to her kid. Give her credit. That was the only thing that I didn't like. But if we go back to the comedy, I love. Okay, first of all, nobody other than John Hughes could make a kid so intelligent. Like, I remember watching this as a kid with you and being like, now Katie and I are very intelligent people. I was going to say slightly intelligent. No, we're actually
bumped us up a level.
Yeah. We're smart people. We were not that fucking smart as kids. And we were smart. We're not that smart. Like, we could not. Could you imagine coming up with a plan of action and executing it all in the 35 minutes before the bad guys came to rob your house?
No, no. Although I did find it funny watching it with
I did recreate a lot of this shit.
Watching it with my 12-year-old. He was like, I just would have called the police. I was like, I feel like I would have called the police too. Yeah, absolutely would have called the police. I do love Josh. Josh says if the Wet Bandits had just let it go and moved to the next house, the movie would have been way shorter. Yeah, they could have just moved to the next house.
They should have.
Yeah, and Travis says in the official novel, which I have not read, so raise your hand if you actually read this novel. But there's a novel version. The mom is a fashion designer and the father's a day trader. So like I buy that. Yeah, I buy that.
Called it. Yeah,
I buy that. Doc says she was a fashion designer acquiring to New York Times. Yeah, there you go. I buy that too. George, so Nat hates spiders, so we'll have to whisper these parts here.
Literally
cover your ears, Nat.
I'm unplugging. You say what you have to say.
Okay. All right. So George, the spider ended up being a real spider. His name was Barry the tarantula. And they actually brought in a fake spider because they didn't want to actually put a real spider on Daniel Stern's face. And Daniel Stern felt so bad about how terrible the fake spider looked that he allowed them to put a real spider on his face. So they dropped the spider onto his face and he screamed. He absolutely totally screamed. So the scream is real. The scream was actually in the take. It wasn't added in later. And it was a real spider. It had all of its poison. And the spider was fine. The spider's name was Barry the tarantula. Okay, Nat, you're good to go.
I could partially hear you. It was traumatizing.
I
literally wrote in the notes in all caps, spiders are never fucking necessary. Never. No.
I thought it was pretty funny.
Indiana Jones and this, like, no, we don't need them. Like, I know, like, you can traumatize me in other ways. Snakes are fine. Other creepy crawlers, centipedes, they have loads of legs. Not spiders.
Yeah. I will say I have an amazing a Facebook post from Daniel Stern, who is the actor who played Marv, and in it I won't give you the details now to creep you out, but he explains like the entire story, which I just said, and then at the end of the story he says that he thought Joe Pesci was much more scary than the spider, of which I am inclined to believe.
The scream that he let out, that Marv let out, was real.
Yeah. Oh yeah, he was terrified.
Okay, so that actually is confirmed as real. I'm like, emotionally, I know that that's a real scream.
I went down a rabbit hole because the first couple of articles that I read basically said that it was a real scream, but that it was dubbed in afterwards because they were worried that the spider would like attack.
But I need to boil my skin right now.
But it is that is not true. Like he actually did that. It was all real and it was all in the actual take, which is absolutely crazy. And then and I know I'm jumping around with facts, but there's so many good. So as we're talking about Harry and Marv, who are, I agree with Josh, like the best part of this movie. Yeah. This best part of the movie. I mean, Macaulay Culkin did fantastic in this. But,
oh my God. Can we just say he was like legitimately the cutest kid of all time? He was the cutest kid.
He really was the cutest kid of all time.
The cutest, the most precocious, the most like, he's such a good actor. As a child actor, he's still a good actor. Macaulay Culkin, love him. But he was so good at this and he was so stinking cute. I'm like, it's not been matched yet to date. No. Like, I can't think of anybody that has matched it. Dakota Fanning was close, but she was a little... She was always cast in a slightly too precocious role, which I loved, but it's not as like Macaulay Culkin of it all. But anyways, continue.
Yeah. So I was gonna say I read this other article.
My skin off because I think there's spiders on me. I have a phobia, guys. It's an actual phobia. It's a psychological
there are no
problem.
spiders. I'm watching carefully. I'll let you know if I see any. But so far we're good. Yeah. So Macaulay Culkin, absolutely incredible. I need to read this quote from Travis. Not quote, but what Travis says: Macaulay does an excellent job. Where most directors would have had the kid play smug, vindictive, and secretly genius, Kevin's unlikability is all up front. Like he just like he's just great. He's great all the way through. I totally agree, Travis. It was fantastic. And fun fact, he had a 30-year-old stunt double, which is also incredible.
That's
like
amazing.
He's just relatable as like everything Macaulay Culkin says and does. You're like, yeah, I would totally do that. I totally agree with you, Travis. He's like the epitome of like obnoxious younger brother throughout this film. I was gonna say,
I legitimately thought about this. Like right now, as my form of defense, like self-defense in my home, being Canadian, guys, okay, like which now this is going to sound even more Canadian, but I have a hockey stick obviously by the door. Okay, like
as you do,
it's super Canadian. I'm like, I also have an aluminum bat and a small steel shovel, but that's only because the steel shovel's for winter, so I need to shovel the stoop. But like,
winter or bandits.
Or bandits. I'm like, but after watching this movie, I'm like, must invest in more glass ornaments.
Yeah.
I'm like, I could up my self-defense game because, like,
and be Christmassy.
Yes, the cat that I have right at the moment is, how did the vet put it? A wee bit slow. That's the medical diagnosis of my poor cat. She is dumb as a sack of fluff. So, like, the only defense I have is my hockey stick by the door. But yeah, so I definitely can take notes from Kevin McCallister for sure.
Yeah, so he's fantastic, but we should talk about Harry and Marv because their level of comedic acting is fantastic. It's doubly fantastic given the fact that these were actual stunts portrayed by stunt doubles. So this was not CGI. Like the things that happened to them happened to these poor, like, let's hear it for a second for the stunt doubles.
The iron in the face, the paint cans.
And so I read
the front to back of your head. I'm like, the actual traumatic brain injury. At one point I was like, the TBI that both of these men would have would hospitalize them for years.
Unsurprisingly, there were like quite a few articles from like actual doctors talking through like the like the reality behind some of these injuries, and it was like, oh yeah, no, like the iron to the face like would have knocked him completely out. He would have definitely had some kind of brain trauma. It was like the fire like the fire on top of his head. It was like, he was like, oh no, yeah, like your skull would just start to like rot, like because the bone would be like so damaged. Like it was really really bad. Like they would have died like in almost every single one of those.
Water, it would have boiled a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, the glass ornaments are probably like the only one that's kind of like, yeah, that would really hurt, but you would be okay, more or less. Like the rest of them.
But that's my favorite lines is like, why did you take your shoes off? He's like, why are you dressed as a chicken? Because so Marv,
their anger at each other makes it so much better.
Yes. So Marv stepped on some tar, got a hot iron to his face. He crawls out of this basement up some black ice that Kevin had set up. He tries to break in through the living room window only to put his bare feet, because he abandoned his tar stuck boots, onto glass ornaments. So he has these tiny, like, incandescent shards of glass up through his feet. And then Harry, got in through the front door eventually after burning his hand off, because Kevin geniusly heated the metal doorknob.
And they have their like initials on their doorknob. Just speaking about the wealth of this family.
Talk about that? Like, that's fancy. Like,
I'm totally gonna do that to my house. That's the one rich person thing I'm gonna do to my house. I'm gonna just put a giant F on my metal doorknobs just in case I need to brand some criminals. Just, you know.
And so Marv gets in and he goes into, he walks into the dining room, gets a saran wrap, like plastic cling wrap with hot glue on his face, peels it off only to tripwire the fan that blows like the insides of a down pillow into his face. So he's covered in feathers that are glued to his face, which I'm like, could you imagine getting that in the ER?
I feel like we need... I feel like
I would love movies... an ER or a trauma nurse to come on and tell us, like, okay, the following reasons that this is gonna go badly.
Yeah, I feel like what we're really missing in today's movies is that they're like, is this like ingenuity of kids like this age, right? Like it was like Goonies. 7 to like 11, where they created these like, and this is because all of our kids are on screens now instead of actually building things with their hands, but they created like all of these like elaborate, not just like pranks or defense systems like Kevin does, but like like the Goonies, like these crazy tree houses, these crazy forts. They had like these like elaborate like systems with walkie-talkies. Like it was crazy.
Create all of this as kids.
No, true. That's true. It was only in the movies, but bring it back in the movies. It made us feel like maybe it was possible.
But we tried. Like we set up like booby traps. We set up like, not that it actually tricked our but you know, like we're like, this is amazing, we can recreate this, and we tried.
Yeah.
And kids, like, yeah, kids definitely don't have this anymore. I'm like, nowadays, I think it would be more accurate to be like, I'm going to hack a mainframe.
That's true. That's true. It takes us back to where hackers turned everything around. But
mind you, I guess that's 90s kids. Could kids today hack anything? Do they know that apps aren't software programs? Like, do they know the difference between an OS, software, and an app?
I don't want to think about it.
I love when Apple was like, we're just gonna call all of our software apps, and I'm like, they're different things, dude. Well, they're different things.
Yeah,
I get it, but no, like, how about we just teach people instead? You know?
Yeah. They're awesome. So fun fact, and I couldn't find a second source to verify this, but so maybe this is an inaccurate fact, but I did see at least one article that said that when Daniel Stern, who plays Marv, walks in that window in the scene that you were just talking about and steps on the ornaments, they actually were made of candy sugar, so they were made of glass, but he apparently stepped on them with his actual bare feet, and then later in the movie they were like, we should get him some fake like feet bottoms, like what they did in Die Hard, which we talked about last week. But yeah,
and Lord of the Rings.
Apparently initially he actually stepped on candy glass. which would still really hurt. So I'm hoping that that's an inaccurate fact just for the safety of this actor, but I don't know. I saw it, so we'll see. We'll have to
era. It was like what, like, that was 1990 that it came out, so what, 1988, 89 that it was filmed. I'm like, did we protect our actors as much then?
Yeah, probably not. I love this fact. So Joe Pesci, for those of you who are familiar with him, a fantastic actor, and he was, up until this point, he was in like only very serious, mostly mob movies, like adult action films, right? And for some reason, like, took this role. Not quite sure what he was thinking.
It was such a shock. I remember, even for me as a kid, being like, he's in a kids movie? Is it a kids movie? Are we allowed to watch this? Joe Pesci's in it.
Yeah.
Like, it was a thing.
Yeah, so he takes this role, which is like surprising to absolutely everyone, and then he method acts it. He apparently stays in that character throughout the entire movie because he was really worried that Macaulay Culkin would like him and it would ruin the movie. Like, he would just become like too friendly with this adorable kid and it would completely ruin the movie. It would be like absolutely terrible. So yeah, I think that part of it's like kind of adorable and weird and very Joe Pesci, and I really enjoyed every moment. Oh my goodness. Well, I gotta pull this in because we only have so much time and I want to make sure we don't miss any of it. But Kathy, hey, shout out to Kathy who's watching with us. Kathy's asking about Angels, about the Angels with Filthy Souls movie, which is not a real movie, unfortunately.
It's not.
I feel like it's a real missed opportunity, like in a world where we are doing remake upon remake upon sequel upon remake. Why have we not
make that movie?
Why have we not created this as a movie? But yeah, they
I have to say, as a funny little aside, so Katie, for our listeners, Katie likes to crochet.
I do.
So for Christmas, I got her off of Etsy a little ring that is made for crocheting.
Mm-hmm.
So you can catch your yarn in it to help you thread it. I don't know. I don't crochet. So it's a crocheting ring.
It's fantastic. It's a crocheting ring.
So professional crocheters are known as hookers.
Mm-hmm.
I did not make this up. This is a fact. So I write on Etsy as a gift message, "Merry Christmas, you filthy hooker," to reference both Home Alone and
crocheting. Makes total sense to me.
I mistakenly did not click gift message on that and just sent that directly to the seller in Florida. She did not include that in gift message to Katie, even though I followed up my order with a very long email saying, "I am so sorry, I am not a crass psychopath. Like, I don't think you're actually a woman of the night. I'm like, anyways, so that happened this year. So yes, that movie is very referential.
Yeah.
Merry Christmas, yeah, filthy animals.
Mm-hmm.
And I think somebody should make that into a real movie.
They even made
I'm
a fake
down
sequel
a good
for the
little black and white.
They also made a fake sequel for the Home Alone sequel. So like they've now done a fake original clip and then a fake sequel, and yet they have not made this into a movie. And it feels like it would be a really fun, like, yeah, it feels like a very fun watchable movie. I think it's absolutely amazing. I'm laughing at these our resident fact checker, Mr. Paul Duncan, says that Joe Pesci was used to adding profanity to most of his scripts and kept forgetting that he was filming a family movie during his character's on-screen outbursts. So director Chris Columbus advised him to say fridge instead of using the F word. And a lot of Pesci's unintelligible pained musterings were his way to avoid cursing. Hilarious other fun fact to follow up that the only like swear word that actually makes it into this movie is the word shit. And that's when Daniel Stern, not Joe Pesci, accidentally, I forgot what he did. I think he hit his head on like the dog door that he was sticking his head through. And so he pulls his head on everything. He pulls his like head back through, and then you can actually hear it in the movie. It's like very, very quiet in the background. He goes, shit. As kids, it was like absolutely hilarious being like, did he just say shit on the movie for us? And they just left it in. I don't know if they left it in by accident or if they left it in on purpose, but yeah. And Hank is asking, is it true that Robert De Niro was supposed to be in this movie? Yes, Robert De Niro was supposed to be in this movie. I think Hank, you posted earlier that Chris Farley was actually supposed to play Santa in this movie, which would have been hilarious. There were, as usual, like a lot of actors that were up for different roles. Weirdly, because we've had this trend on the VHS Club where almost every single 90s movie was one where Leonardo DiCaprio was supposed to be in it because for whatever reason he was. Stop it! I did not find any signs of Leonardo DiCaprio being up for these roles.
I was gonna say, I'm like,
and I was like, what? Yeah, no, he was not supposed to be in it.
Not DiCaprio again.
Although apparently, Travis called me. You're right. Buzz does say ass. That's true. That's not really a swear word. I mean, maybe, I guess, sort of. But yeah, or bumhole. I mean, it's exactly. Oh man. But yeah, Macaulay Culkin actually still had to like audition for this role, and they did look at a ton of actors. Although,
I have to say,
John Hughes asked for him to be in the role. Yeah.
Yeah. John Hughes was that kind of writer-director that loved to keep a certain cast close,
Mm-hmm.
you know, like kind of like Joss Whedon, and I know he kind of fell out of favor recently, but whatever, we're gonna just pause that part of history. Like how like, you know, when certain writers and directors keep a certain cast for like decades, and John Hughes kind of did that. Like he always kept like some of his best people close to him, and I really like that's really lovable. Like, you know, when he came across somebody that was really good, he made sure that they got their dues and that they got the parts. He kept recasting people like John Candy and Macaulay Culkin, you know? He constantly recast them in movies. And even Macaulay Culkin, who was in Uncle Buck with John Candy, like he was apparently, now this is coming off the top of my head from God knows how many decades ago, but he was too young to be in the movie. So they had to like cut his parts really, really short and film it over a very extended period of time.
Yeah.
But they just knew Macaulay Culkin was a star and had to have him in the movie. Even John Candy was like, no, this kid is really funny. His comedic timing is beyond anything. And for John Candy to say that is like, who's one of the funniest physical comedic actors ever.
Yeah. John Candy apparently, so he does make it like a very small cameo appearance within this movie. He apparently was only paid like the guy who played the pizza delivery driver was paid more than John Candy for this role because John Candy was wanted to just take it as like basically the same amount of money that an extra would make because he just came in. He was only there for like a couple of hours. He improvised like almost all of his lines and then left, which I think is absolutely fantastic.
So he was part of like a Christmas band that like focused on like clarinet and banjos.
Yeah.
And they're riding in the back of a van to get through their next venue. It was very planes, trains, and automobiles, and it was super, super adorable.
Yeah, absolutely. Josh, no, we didn't see your review, so you'll definitely have to drop it into the comments so that we can snag it and read it later, and so we can share it with everyone. So definitely let us know. I remember you saying that, and then I got Christmased.
Oh, it's in our YouTube comments.
Oh,
I saw
good.
The link to
Thank you, Josh. All right, I missed it.
It's there.
Hey.
I clicked on it. I haven't, but it's been Christmas.
The fact that I knew that today is Thursday is a miracle, because as Nat and I like to refer, this is the in-between week between Christmas and New Year's that we call Cheese Week, where we don't know what day it is. We just feel kind of
just
like
full of
cheese and wine, and that's all we've been doing is just eating cheese and wine. So it was absolutely absolutely a crazy week, but I definitely want to read it and share it with everyone. Paul's agreeing with us. It's Cheese Week here at the VHS Club. Hopefully you can join us if you're not lactose intolerant or vegan or whatever else would stop you from eating cheese.
You know, honestly, even if I was and might possibly
might be worth it
revamp if I cut out dairy, I would never.
Josh.
And St. Andre cheese was on sale this week, and I'm winning because that is delicious. It's not sold in America because there are more cheeses illegal in America than guns, which is a funny little tidbit for all the non-Americans. We're like, what do you mean more cheeses are illegal? It's a fact. It's an actual fact. But St. Andre cheese, if you ever break out and get to a place and find St. Andre's cheese, delicious. It's a soft kind of brie-like cheese.
Duck is saying he's been playing Guess What Day It Is. Yeah, I'm impressed that I remembered and I scheduled this and I came.
And she's like, this is for tonight. I'm like, cool, we're doing that today.
Cool, Thursday.
Whatever day it is, I'm here.
Absolutely. Travis, I did not know this fact. I didn't see this in my research. So that apparently early on when Chris Farley was auditioning for Santa, that version of the script had the Santa character saving Kevin at the end. That actually makes sense because I read, which not the same, but that Chris Columbus actually added in the neighbor, the creepy shovel neighbor that they're all afraid of, and the charming heartfelt moment at the end where he reconnects with his daughter, his granddaughter and his son, based on what advice Kevin gave. So yeah, so that's totally possible that Santa originally had a bigger role.
Talk about Kevin's older brother Buzz being a total douche. Like, what a douche canoe, making Kevin believe that their neighbor is like a legit serial killer. It's like Buzz knows that's not for real, but he made his younger brother believe that man was a serial killer. So Kevin is home alone, fighting off these burglars who are breaking into all the neighbors' houses, and he keeps coming across this quote-unquote serial killer, only to find out, thankfully, because of the spirit of Christmas, that the man is not in fact a serial killer and actually just super friendly and helps Kevin out. But what a bother.
I feel like it's totally believable because
my sibling is never that shitty.
My sibling is and was definitely not that shitty, but I definitely had friends who told me all kinds of cat burglar crazy stories when I was around this age, and there was a whole time period where I slept at the foot of my parents' bed because I was absolutely sure that a cat burglar was going to break into the house and kill you if you opened your eyes. That was my fear. It was keep your eyes closed. If you open your eyes, they will kill you.
I think of one mutual friend that definitely traumatized us.
Yeah.
I made it a sport. She's a peach. Ended up being a PhD in psychology.
Yeah,
that's ironic.
Child psychology. Child psychology. Yeah. Kathy says douche siblings are a John Hughes signature. True. So they must exist somewhere.
It's true. Yeah.
Absolutely true. Yeah. So I'm with Josh that the scene with Kevin and Marley, the neighbor, who's thanks for the reminder on the name, is the favorite scene in the whole movie. It's many people's favorite scene, and it was not due to John Hughes.
I loved him in the church.
Yeah.
In the church.
We were so I can't remember if I said this out loud. So I when we were doing the Christmas Vacation episode, so I've watched Christmas Vacation every year for I don't even know how far younger than I should have all the way through. And I always thought that my husband Dane was a fan of Christmas Vacation. I've made this man watch Christmas Vacation with me every single year. And he just sat there and typical Dane way. He just sits there and watches it. And then this year we were talking about like favorite Christmas movies, and I was like, "What's your favorite Christmas movie?" And like assumed he was going to be like Christmas Vacation, and he was like Home Alone. I was like, Home Alone's your favorite Christmas movie? He's like, yeah. I'm like, what Christmas Vacation? He's like, I hate Christmas Vacation. I just watched that because you like Christmas Vacation. Yeah. So shout out to Dane's favorite Christmas movie, which is just so very Dane. So very, very Dane. And then here's another personal fact about this movie is that so this movie came out in 1990. My younger brother Ben was 2 years old when this movie came out, and we saw this one in the theater as a family. And I was like, I remember being in the theater to watch this movie, and my brother was 2, and my parents thought this was they were like, this is a fun family movie for all of us, which I
would remember.
I think is absolutely incredible.
In all fairness to poor Spud, I mean, obviously your parents let him watch E.T. at a much too young age because he was terrified of E.T.
Yeah, he was not a fan of
like,
E.T. He's probably still not.
I get, granted, there are very scary parts of E.T. and I ugly cry every time at the end. Like when they capture him, I'm like, nope, not okay with that. But yeah, I think 80s parenting was a little bit different than parenting nowadays. Like I mentioned to my sister-in-law, I'm like, I can't wait until my niece is able to watch The Labyrinth with me. And she's like, oh, it might be a really long time before that. And I'm like,
no.
I'm like, I don't know. I watched it when I was little and it came out before I could actually watch it, but I've seen it my whole life. And she's like, no, Natalie, she can't watch it. And I'm like, okay. I'm like, right, the 80s were different. Definitely shouldn't have seen Neverending Story when I did, because like pretty much my only childhood trauma is R-Tax.
Yeah. So what else can we tell you about this? So I think one of the, and I don't have the numbers in front of me. I should have pulled these up, but the this for a very, very, very long time was like one of the highest grossing films. So like not only did this blow every other film out of the water when it came out, but it continues to just make insane amounts of money. And it not just as a Christmas movie, but as like a family comedy, and even just as a comedy in its own right. So this movie changed entire like generation, changed entire category of movies. Like the family comedy was like not really a thing before this movie came out. Like this is a pretty iconic movie, and tends to be in just about everyone's top 10 list, if not top 3 list as far as Christmas movies go. So credit to everyone who includes this one in their top movies.
Smart, like this genius child, precocious. It's very and this is going to be controversial, so come at me, guys. I'm serious. Like, I know the internet. So Star Trek The Next Generation, Wesley Crusher. I know you all hate him. I know.
I love his sweaters.
I love him, okay? I was younger than him when he was on TV. And the fact that a kid could come in and save the day because he was super brilliant and came up with these genius plans, I was like, yes, somebody that I can relate to is a genius. Anyway, so this is very Wesley Crusher. This is very
the kid saves the day. The kid doesn't need his family. He wants his family, but he doesn't need them.
Yeah. Very Goonies again. Like Goonies, they save the whole town. Like, it's not like they're saving an individual interest. They're trying to save their whole village. Like it's ridiculous.
Here are the numbers in from Paul. Gross worldwide, $476 million and change. It was rated the #1 movie this year. Wow. Yeah. See, it just continues to be incredible. And I mean, in many ways, so I read this really sad quote from Macaulay Culkin.
Yes, somebody in the live audience said, "Love Will Beaten."
You and Kathy are kindred spirits.
Agree.
Same.
Kathy, I adore you.
Oh, there you go, Josh too. So there you go.
Gosh. Okay, now we're getting this Nintendo Gen united.
Yes, there we go. There we go. It's
we are between X and Y.
Yeah, it's pretty. I read this really like sad quote. So shout out to Macaulay Culkin who took the He got the star on the Walk of Fame this year, which he absolutely deserves. It was a really long time coming. He looks.
Oh my god, he's a brilliant actor, by the way. Which, like, I mean, there are movies that he did that not just broke him out of his childhood role, but that are just iconic in the film industry. That are just so jarring, like so incredible, so genuinely acted. He is phenomenal at his job, and
so it was. But I mean, this, like, being this young and acting, and and a number of the issues that he had, like, he was very broken for a very long time and seems to be in a much better place. But there was this amazing line that a quote that he said where, like, following like in the years following this movie, like even as a teenager, he used to only go out between like the hours of like 2 a.m. and 5 a.m. to just walk the streets so that he didn't have anyone coming at him, like in an attempt to just feel normal. So that, like, it is like the size and scope of this movie, and as much as it defined like our childhoods or our or our lives in one way or another, like like he apparently can't watch this movie at all, and when he does, like, all he sees are like the making of it, which he doesn't seem to have like a negative connotation with the making of the movie, but like he just
wasn't on some late night show a few years back where he would be like, to see if the person I'm dating, like, it was kind of like his test of dating, like to see if this person was really into him or into
Kevin McCallister.
He would make them watch this movie, and he would watch it with them to see their reaction, to see if
that's
they
awesome.
were like, yeah, apparently he was on some, I can't remember, it was one of the Jimmys probably, but anyways. I remember him doing that, and I was like, that's epic.
Some amazing Will Wheaton discussion in the comments.
I know. Yes, guys. Yes, for Will Wheaton. And I know Will Wheaton is badass as a human being. Like he just posted recently on social media, he went to an LA Kings game with his wife, and they were masking because, COVID is still murdering everybody. Like, you go, Will Wheaton. Like, you tell people. It's just, Wesley Crusher was unliked by the internet before it became the internet as we know today. True. The internet before this was Trekkies. Like, you want to talk about fan fiction? You want to talk about bullying online, cyberbullying? You mess with a Trekkie? Early 90s, that was dangerous.
Home Alone is a litmus test. Yeah, absolutely true. I think it's awesome. Yeah. Well, we've almost near the end. Any final thoughts or facts, Nat? Any?
I think this movie was super fun. I can't wait to watch this with my niece and soon-to-be nephew.
You'll have to record their laughter. That's the one. Record the laughter.
Much so like, okay, so Katie recorded her daughter watching Casper, the Casper reveal to human form. The first time, and that gave me life, and I'm like, I will need to also record the niece and nephew watching this for the first time, because like it's gonna be pretty epic.
Absolutely amazing.
It's so heartwarming. It's John Hughes. I love everything John Hughes. And we will cover more John Hughes movies. Wait till Katie and I get into Pretty in Pink. Pull up your bootstraps for that one, kids.
So Kathy gave us a suggestion for our list. I'll be sure to add it in. So Kathy, the answer is yes, we do non-80s movies. We do 80s, 90s, and today, which includes the early 2000s. So we will definitely do A Lot Like Love, which I haven't seen. So I'm in if it's from the early 2Ks. I think that's look at you. And Josh, congratulations to Josh, also going to be an uncle in the next couple days. Yay, congratulations. I love it.
My nephew's actually, just because I'm all braggy, my soon-to-be nephew, he's still in the oven, is actually due on my birthday. I'm like,
so cross your fingers, everyone.
I will no longer have a birthday as of this June, because the kid's gonna steal all the thunder, which is fine. It's okay. I'm an introvert, so that's gonna be like a freaking relief. But
we're not gonna do any of these spider movies. Natalie will not do. We'll have to have a guest on, and Nat can just like take the night off if we're gonna do.
Yeah, if you guys want to cover arachnophobia, you can just F right off and get somebody else on the show, because I won't.
Special guest for that episode.
Because of my phobia, I've in-depthly looked into the fact that in the Laurentians boreal forest, which is, I guess, your New England part of the Appalachian, whatever, we have North American black widows. Yeah, because I've seen them in my cabin, and let me tell you, when I threw a cinder block, not at the window, but
did you scream like Marv?
No, I literally just picked up a cinder block like a sociopath and threw it out a window. I killed the spider and didn't break the window, but actually, no, I did scream. Oh, my trauma blocked it out. I remember my brother making fun of me, being like, "You scream like Kim Basinger in Batman."
Oh, someone meant maybe it was Josh. Someone mentioned that we need to watch Batman. Maybe Batman should be at least early in the Januaries. Yeah, sure. Batman can be a Christmas movie. All right. Well, everyone who is hanging out with us in the live studio audience, drop in your potato ratings for this movie. We won't give them any heat because we've already rated this according to our own fate. But we'd love to hear your thoughts. And if you are listening or watching later and you want to be part of our studio audience to get to know all of the other Tater Tots, they're awesome. You can always hang out with us most Thursdays at 9 p.m. Eastern. When we know it's Thursday and it's 9, we're here. And when we epically, and by we I mean me, forget, then we're not, and we cover it on a Wednesday or a Friday instead. But yeah, definitely come and join us. We do have a brand new website.
Fuck off! Sorry, Paul just came into the live comments with a spider review.
Paul gives this 5 spiders with apologies to Nat. Josh says
final comments in the live right now, and I can't look, but I couldn't avoid Paul's.
Josh says Batman Returns is definitely a Christmas movie, so yeah, we'll have to add in some Batman movies. But yeah, definitely swing by and visit our site. You can find it at thevhsclubpod.com. You can email us at thevhsclubpod@gmail.com. Yeah, and you can always come and hang out with us. But all right, we're moving on. I did potato reviews this week. I was gonna give it 4. I was gonna give it 5. But then I read about like how well it did, and I remembered everything. So I just went with all. I went with all of the potatoes, which was the same rating we gave Die Hard. I actually think it was a couple less than Die Hard because I moved some potatoes around. But I feel like Christian Slater would just give this one all. It has such lasting power. 5 paint cans from George. 5 paint cans. I love it. It just holds up.
It holds up. That's it. I think that's the thing. It holds up. And like
we didn't talk about the screaming faces. 5 screaming faces.
My brother and I literally this Christmas holiday, so I spent a few days at my brother's with my niece, and we were talking about the scream face. The And my brother's like, "Oh yeah, that was so funny." I'm like, we used to do that all the time. Do you understand how pissed Mom and Dad must have been every time we were like at the top of our lungs, slap our cheeks and go, like that must have been a nightmare for parents.
Well, and
it's talkie toys and screaming toys and toys that record you and play back. Now your kids slapping themselves and screaming constantly, consistently throughout the whole Christmas season, and it still carries on for decades. I love it.
So what's doubly funny that it reminds me of the fact that I read for this one. So in the script, because it's supposed to be like that it is burning his face, right? So in the script, the guidance was supposed to be that he rubs it on his hands, he taps his cheeks, he screams, and his hands drop to his sides because you obviously want to remove whatever is like hurting you from your face. But I guess Macaulay Culkin just like held his hands up and screamed, and they were like, it was so cute and perfect and whatever that they were just like, yeah, that's fine. We're gonna leave that one and continue on. And I'm sure they're glad they did because it's like it was this iconic moment.
Yep. Every schoolyard, every kid was doing that. Every playground, every kid was doing that. Every daycare, every class, like
yeah.
Every kid, like that's just what we did. It was the funniest thing. It was like the whole like I can't even think of another example. I'm thinking like the Budweiser frogs, and I can't remember what the tagline that we kept repeating all the time. But like it's like one of those things that we just kept repeating because it was so iconic. That
it's just pop culture now.
Over and over. Yeah, it was amazing.
5 toothbrushes, which have been approved by the American Dental Association. Also fantastic. Shout out to Doc and Travis for those ones. Yeah, we didn't talk about it, but there is another, there was just so many great articles referencing like the amount of money. And so like there was also an article about the amount of money in grocery money that he like steals from Buzz to be able to pay for groceries. And it was like, yeah. It was, I think it was less than, I think it came to like something like $19 and change is what he ends up paying for it. And he got like what like would probably be like $90 today, if not over 100. So it's kind of amazing.
That's not even enough for a single person to go to. Like I was at the grocery store today. Eggs are $10.99 and butter is $8.99. I can't afford poor people food. I'm a little concerned, but whatever. We'll see how that rides out. That's where we are right now in the world.
All right, Nat, what's next week's and studio audience? What's next week's movie? We could do Batman. We could do one of the Batmen. We have been putting off Gattaca. We're gonna do Gattaca.
But I mean, like, but Prince isn't Batman.
It's true.
I mean, Prince did the soundtrack. I don't know.
Which Batman do we do? Do we do Batman Returns because it's a Christmas movie? We're out of Christmas at that point, but we could still do an homage.
Prince, the first one.
Okay. All right. 5 cheese pizzas. Also good. You guys. Yes. Yeah.
Everybody ate my cheese pizza and they know that's the only one I like.
Mm-hmm. Batman. All right. Josh says Batman. I guess we do Batman. I mean, I feel like we can move into Batman.
Yeah. I mean, we could do Batman Returns after. I do have to say, Michelle Pfeiffer as Catwoman is like almost as iconic as Eartha Kitt doing Catwoman. Almost. Yeah. I mean, like Eartha Kitt is beyond everything. Like she is just fabulous as a human being in existence. Like if you see her in any interview talking about anything, she's incredible. But Michelle Pfeiffer's Batman is pretty freaking incredible. But if we're gonna do Batman, we have to start at the beginning.
All right. Okay.
Not Adam West beginning because like bat shark repellent and the all of that of it all, the pows and kapows.
Adam West Batman.
Yeah, I do love Adam.
I do love Adam West as Batman. I'm not gonna lie.
I do love that. But no, we should start with Michael Keaton and Jack Nicholson because
okay, I'm in.
Oh man.
All right, everyone. That's your homework for next week, next Thursday, 9 p.m. Eastern, right here on YouTube. We're going to be covering Batman. I expect Josh to be there and everyone else to share their feelings and thoughts on all of it. And then who knows? Maybe we'll go down a Batman run, or maybe we'll bounce into something else. We never know. We got there's some good comedies too on the list. So
we can keep going back.
It's true. There are a lot of Batman movies. So we'll have to. And I didn't show everyone. Although I did show it on the YouTube, but we didn't do part 2, but I do have my talk boy with me. This is not the OG one. I had the OG one when they first released it after Home Alone 2. And that one got probably given away by my dad. So I eBayed and bought this one like an adult.
Sold it at a yard sale.
Yeah.
Oh God.
Some lucky yard sale kid.
I've lately seen the children on TikTok trending that the best Home Alone movie is Home Alone 2, and I beg your pardon, but
disagree.
No.
Although the Talk Boy was pretty great, and Tim Curry's in it, so I'll give.
And the Bird Lady is great. I bet even back in the early 90s, I was like, why is this buffoon orange-faced Cheeto in it? No.
He Who Shall Not Be Named was in it, but it's good. It's a good movie. I like Home Alone 2 a lot, but I don't.
But it's not
better.
Comparable to the first one.
Oh, thank you, Josh. Josh emailed in his reviews. We will definitely be sure to read them. Thanks so much for all the suggestions and all of the love. It's more fun hanging out with a live studio audience, so we certainly appreciate you guys. And yeah, we'll be back again next week, and we'll keep those movie reviews coming. You can swing on over to our site, the VHSClubPod.com, to add and email us in your movie suggestions, and we'll just keep working our way through them. I'm on a backlog of movie fact short videos as well, but I'm catching up slowly. I did tonight's, so I caught up one down, a million to go. But yeah, thanks Nat. This was a good one. This was fun to rewatch again. I'm glad. I almost went through Christmas without watching this one again, and I'm very glad that I did it correctly. Awesome. Well, thanks everyone, and we'll see you next week. Bye.